All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into something that affects pretty much every homeowner, but it's a topic we rarely think about until, it's a total emergency. And that is your plumbing.
Think about this for a second. What if all those annoying little things, the dripping faucet, that super slow drain, those weird gurgling sounds, what if they're not just random bad luck? What if it's actually your house trying to tell you a story written by its history and even by the ground it's built on? See, the clues are all there. You just have to know where to look. So, okay, let's dive in.
So first things first, let's kind of set up the mystery we're trying to solve here. Most of us, right, we treat a plumbing problem as a one-off thing. You fix it, you forget about it. But what if they're almost always connected, like chapters in a much, much bigger story?
Okay, let's get personal for a second. Think about your own place. Have you ever heard one of those sounds or seen one of these signs and just, crossed your fingers and hoped it would magically disappear? Yeah, we all have. But here's the thing. These aren't just minor annoyances. They're actually vital clues.
So, you've got a gurgling toilet, or maybe a faint sewer smell you can't quite place, or a water bill that just skyrockets out of nowhere. What's so interesting is how we see these as totally separate problems, right? But what if? What if they're all symptoms of one single hidden condition? That's exactly the story we're going to piece together.
Okay, so to really see how all these clues fit together in the real world, we're going to zoom in on one specific place. A place that's kind of a perfect storm for plumbing challenges. We're talking about College Park, right there in the DC metro area. Now, College Park is such a fascinating case study because you get this perfect collision of old and new. I mean, you've got houses built decades ago, still running on their original plumbing, but now they're dealing with all the pressures of modern life. It's almost like a concentrated crime scene, packed with clues. And what we learn here can teach us a ton about our own homes. Seriously, no matter where you live.
All right, let's start with our first set of clues. And these are the ones that are literally buried right under your feet. We're talking about environmental factors that are constantly at work, totally out of sight, but they are shaping the destiny of your pipes every single day.
I know. Soil doesn't sound very exciting, right? But trust me, the type of soil your house is sitting on has a massive impact. In a place like College Park, the ground is just packed with this stuff called expansive clay. And that one word right there, expansive, that is the absolute heart of the problem.
Okay, so check this out. Here's how it works. When that clay soil gets wet, it swells up. And I mean, it literally squeezes the pipes that are buried in it. Then, when it dries out, it shrinks back down, pulling away, which causes the pipes to shift and settle. It's this constant, invisible stress on the whole system. A relentless cycle of squeeze, shift, that just wears down the joints and, you guessed it, causes leaks over time.
But the soil isn't the only culprit here. It's not working alone. In a neighborhood like College Park, you've got these beautiful, old, mature trees. But their roots, they are always hunting for water. And a tiny little crack in a sewer line is like an open invitation for them. So you add that to the mix, and then you throw in the harsh winter freeze-thaw cycles that can literally burst pipes overnight, and what you have is a full-blown environmental assault on your plumbing.
All right, so we've investigated the ground outside. Now, let's head inside and look for clues hidden in the home's own history. Because this is where decisions made by builders, more than half a century ago, come back to haunt homeowners today.
You see, a lot of the homes in College Park were built during that post-war boom, and they used what was the standard for plumbing back then, galvanized steel. On the surface, it seemed super durable, but these pipes had a fatal flaw. They rust from the inside out. And for decades, this corrosion is just happening silently, slowly choking off the pipes, until one day, the whole system just starts to fail.
And this number right here, this is the crucial point, 50 years. That is the typical lifespan for the galvanized pipes you'll find in so many of these older homes. So think about it. If your house is built in, say, 1960, its plumbing has been living on borrowed time for over a decade now. At that point, failure isn't just a possibility. It's pretty much an inevitability.
And this really tells the whole story, right here. It's a tale of two pipes. On one side, you've got the old galvanized pipes. You're looking at rust, terrible water pressure, constant leaks. But on the other side, you have the solution, modern materials like copper and PEX. They're corrosion resistant, they give you a strong, consistent flow, and they're built to last. We're not just talking about a simple repair here. This is a fundamental evolution in technology.
Okay, so after all that, what does this actually mean for you?
Look, the whole point of this explainer isn't to scare you, not at all. It's to empower you. Because by understanding these clues, you can basically become your own plumbing detective. You can catch these problems before they turn into total catastrophes.
Think of this as your detective's checklist. These are the critical warning signs you gotta look for. See discolored or rusty water? That's a huge signal of internal pipe corrosion. A sudden spike in your water bill? That's the calling card of a leak you can't see. Consistently low water pressure? Well, your pipes are probably getting clogged up with decades of rust. These are the red flags you just cannot afford to ignore.
And really, this is the main takeaway. Plumbing issues almost never ever fix themselves. They only get worse. That tiny little drip or that slightly slow drain, that's often just the first quiet signal of a much bigger failure that's developing completely out of sight. Being proactive, just paying attention, that is your absolute best defense.
So the next time you hear a strange noise from your pipes or notice that a drain is just a little too slow, don't just dismiss it. Just pause for a second and ask yourself, okay, what's the history of my house? What kind of environmental forces are at play here? What is my home's plumbing trying to tell me? Because listening for that answer, it could literally save you thousands of dollars.